Another round of buys is upon us, and to be honest with you, these trades that I've got set up at the moment are a little bit bold and do depend on team selection, and I'll go through the set or changes of trades, I should say, that will happen if I get the team lists that I suspect we're going to get. So, but I do want to just highlight this sort of this set of trades that I've sort of thought about and I think is more right for my side, although it could be considered sideways in a way because of the players that I'm getting out of the side and the players that I'm getting in. But I think it does set me up a lot better because it's two guys on the buy and a guy that's going to lose a lot of cash for three potentially primo players. But anyway, let's jump into this video here. So trade for this week, as you can see, as I was saying, this trade is a trade that I've sort of definitely considered a lot, and it depends on the team list. If I see a dual ruck for Port, which is what we're projecting to see, then in the team lineups, then I'll probably stay away from Brodie Grundy, even though he's been the most form ruck in the comp, and I just couldn't look at this this run here that they've got. I think it's on here, yeah, here, and look at this and say I don't want Brodie Grundy, because yeah, look at that, 3.61. The Port Adelaide matchup is the best matchup in the league at the moment, although for some reason it doesn't have the stats for Gawn, which might downweigh it a little bit. I think I need to just double check that, and I can actually show you how that works in a way. If we go here and we go here to this and we see last 10 Port Adelaide, let's go last 5 because last 5 is a little bit more indicative. You see 22, yeah, you see this and you go, they would have played, I think this counts the last 5 games that they played. So I think this still counts this. They sat out in round 12. Round 13, who did they play? If we just go back here to Connor Rosé, who did they play in round 13? They played GWS. They played Madden. Madden probably doesn't have enough info to say what he would have done. So that's probably why they've left him off. And then round 14, if we go back to this here, round 14, they played the likes of Gawn. So if we go here and we go, Gawn would have played, he would have played previously, if we just go back here, to find what is his actual thing. So he played Collingwood the week before. If we go here and we go down to Collingwood, where are they? Minus 7.44. If we go Max Gawn, they have Max Gawn basically locked in at about 123. So they basically have Max Gawn at 123, and with the dual rucks, he went 126. So that means that they have him basically a +3, which means that this Port Adelaide matchup now goes from a plus 24.9 across 3 games to, let me just double check that, 14.9 plus 28.9 plus 32 flat gives you divide by 3, gives you roughly 25.26. So don't know what that's on about. But then if you go 75.8 plus 3 and then divide that by 4, you get 19.7 across the 4 matchups that they kind of play. So that means that instead of that, they'd be still top, but it would be slightly less. They'd still have the 100% marker there, but it'd be slightly less. And they'd still come out with the dual rucks somewhere around this if you wanted to count that one game, in which if you actually realistically look at it, with the way Gawn played, he should have actually ended up on about 140 anyway, 145. He played horrifically anyway. And he missed 2 easy gettable shots as well as dropped 2 marks. So that's already a +10, +22 there in its own right. So I don't even think that it's too bad anyway if it's a dual ruck. But obviously if it's a dual ruck, I'm probably going to stay clear of it. Because, yeah, this is the matchup that you're banking on for Grundy a little bit. That he goes sort of that 130, 140 and makes a big dent in that sort of points differential to him and Gawn over the course of the season. Because if we go back to, where is it? It's here, I believe, is it? No, we'll go back to this one here. Season long. If we go here and we look at this for Ruckman here quickly, you'll see Sydney plus 3.61, Melbourne minus 2.48. Let's just cap that at a 6-point differential for 10 games. So if we think about it logically, right? And he's on the bye, that's plus 24. I'm just trying to do some working out in my head here because Sydney is plus 3.61. So they're almost actually, Sydney are about plus, I think it's around about plus 10 or plus 12 in their other remaining games. And Melbourne are minus 2.48 across the remaining 9 games. So that must mean that Sydney is roughly about a plus 2 or so in the remaining games, and Melbourne are a minus 2.48. So that means that there's about a 4.5 point differential for when they're both playing, okay? So 4.5 point swing, roughly when they're both playing. Okay, so that accounts to about, 40 points? Plus you have about, you're hoping for Grundy to go 120, 130. So you're hoping that there's about 100 point differential. So in the remaining 9 games also, is Gawn's average basically 10 points per game higher than Grundy in normal circumstances is basically the big question. So yeah, that's the big question. And one thing I do want to just highlight with the likes of Brodie Grundy, I just want to see the games that he's played. So he's played Richmond. He also absolutely mauled Adelaide, which Adelaide we know, if we go here to rucks, Adelaide are the third hardest ruck to go against. So he's gone big against them. He then played Melbourne, Carlton, and also Essendon. If we go here to this one here, Melbourne are a minus 7. So he's gone there on a minus 7 and still gone large, which should give you confidence. He's then gone and beaten up Carlton, which is a minus matchup. And then he's also beaten up on Essendon, where's Essendon? Essendon are plus 9.55. So if you honestly look at it, and you look at this and you go, he's mauled pretty much anyone that's come in front of him, scored really ridiculously well. He's coming off a bye, so he should be actually fit and firing. This could be interesting, him just in general, because he should be in general a guy that's scoring a lot better. Like, I don't know what happened in these couple of games here, to be honest with you. His, you can see his TOG as well is improving as well. So yeah, this is an interesting one in general, but, and this is really tiny for you guys. So let's make it a little bit bigger for you guys. But yeah, I'm genuinely intrigued about this. I might still do it anyway, just because I might as well go for something chaotic, ridiculous, dumb. Then you have this trade, which I think a lot of people will be doing this type of trade. Isaac Rankin just looks horrific in that midfield. Well, not even in that midfield, to be honest, at the moment. So I think I'll be making that move, as it's roughly, if we look at last 5 games, 78 for Rankin, and then Darcy we know is basically a 95. So that is plus 19 points, plus Darcy's already satisfied. So that could be, if we think about it, that could be a case of 250 points across the rest of the year if Darcy goes off. And then Levi to Callum Mills. Levi can't basically score at the moment. He's averaging 66, and we think that Mills is going to play that half-back role, and that half-back role should generate sort of 90s. That's, again, even though it looks like it's just a sideways trade, that could be potentially 20 points per game, even 25 points per game, which again amounts to almost 250 points per game. And Levi still has to sit his bye, whereas Callum Mills doesn't. So that could even amount to somewhere closer to 300 points differential between these two by the end of the year. So this one kind of seems sideways, but kind of is like a, let's just go for something different with the crowd. Given that, that I'm getting 150k here, which could end up next week, me being able to basically go, say a McAuliffe, a potentially a Sheldrick at that point, which is weird to see him up there. Let's just do that, and that, and then that. Let's just do that. So Sheldrick is there actually, and do that as well. So Sheldrick in at the M6 spot at the moment, which is where he almost started the year for me. But doing like an Angus Sheldrick, a Kane McAuliffe, and a Cooper Lord to basically 2 Primos and McCarthy could actually be the massive play this week. I know that I've got Petrarca out, which I can't really fix because I've got way too many midfielders and I've only got the 8 forwards, which could induce, you could even think of it that I should have done like gotten in someone like a Luke Jackson or another forward. I was actually looking at forwards that were scoring well, and there isn't basically anyone that has to that has already sat the bye that I actually really like at all, other than basically Luke Jackson, who's going to score well. So I could do that play over like grabbing a Callum Mills and waiting another week with Mills. But yeah, I just don't know if I necessarily like that play. How many points is it really going to cough me up for going sort of a a Luke Jackson over Callum Mills this week is an interesting thought, I would say. Callum Mills does have Port Adelaide. Luke Jackson does have the likes of an Essendon ruck that hasn't actually played before. So if we look at Essendon rucks, generally, Tom DeConey went 121 against them for this. Yeah, I might actually change that to Luke Jackson over a Callum Mills and then wait a week on Callum Mills just to be 100% sure with that positioning with him and then go for him next week. And that would also get me that 22nd player on field, which would be huge because I'd put, where is it? I put someone back into the back line, I'm pretty sure. I'd have all these guys. Oh yeah, I'd have, I'd just play Angus Clark or a Matt Carroll in that sort of spot there for Callum Mills. Have that all there. And then have, I guess you would say, instead of a Petrarca would be off, I would say. And then, Petrarca basically in this spot here, and then a Luke Jackson in this spot here. And then that would give me that, I would think, there. And it would be, no Callum Mills, but Callum Mills would effectively be replaced by the likes of a Luke Jackson, who would then basically allow me to get a Carroll or Clark on field effectively. I think that's all that. You can see my defense line is very, very stacked at the moment with a lot of guys there. I've got 5 guys over $1 million there, whereas my midfield, I've only got 2. Now, on to VCs and captaincies, you could go like a Brodie Grundy VC. Fremantle look to be tagging a Zach Merritt, which isn't good. He may even go for me next week. So that's not good. You could obviously go the Bailey Smith, who's probably going to cop attention. So I think Bailey Smith VC is a quite common one. And then North Melbourne also have Carlton on the Saturday, which that is if we just go here quickly to Rucks, Carlton are currently a minus 1.56. You could see a cherry bounce back game. If we just go to here, I just want to check, did they play earlier in the year? Fixtures, if we don't go fixtures, if we go here, did they play earlier? They did. He went 116 against them, and that was kind of off of the injury, sort of. So he could actually go a little bit larger, you would expect. So there's potential for a captaincy there. Fremantle mids, let's actually just double check the midfield for Fremantle. They are one of the tougher mids, I think. No, plus 1.29. So you're looking at Gold Coast. Who do Gold Coast have? That's actually, if we're looking at midfielders, midfielders here, we go, let's just go Raoul here. I just want to check. Raoul, they have GWS. GWS, I don't have basically anyone that I like from GWS. Maybe a Tom Green if you had him. North Melbourne, they play Carlton. So we know that for a fact. They play Carlton, just double checking. So you could go potentially with Walsh out. There's not really any midfielders that I think towel up. Maybe a Chera goes off. So there's that. And then you've got Melbourne who play, if we just double check that, they're on the bye, that was dumb of me to even double check that. And then Richmond have got, if we just double check, who do Richmond have? They've got the Bulldogs. So you could look at one of the Bulldogs players going off there as well. So there's that. If we check the rucks as well, and then we go to the designated kickers, and you've got Richmond. They are playing, as we said, Western Bulldogs. So Bailey Dale is probably the obvious one. Then you've got Essendon. They're playing Fremantle. Fremantle, that's probably a Jordan Clark area to go. And then you've got Melbourne on the bye. Sydney playing Port Adelaide, but we expect the likes of Connor Rozee to get a tag from potentially James Jordan. So there's that, especially as you can see, Vlosten really struggled through it. Hinge probably didn't get tagged. Even looking back here as well, Bowie, I think, copped it. And then, so that'll be interesting to see how that goes as they've sort of on off the tag, I would say, a little bit. And then the other guy, you probably, let's just get rid of all that there. The other guy you've probably got to look at for the potential halfbacks is someone playing Hawthorn's on the bye, West Coast on the bye, North Melbourne, they are playing Carlton. So there's not really anyone from Carlton halfbacks that I like, but it might be a bounce back game for a Doherty. Who Who do Wangani Malira play? They play Collingwood. Halfbacks for Collingwood, I think, are one of the tougher ones. Yeah, minus 8.9. So don't want to go there. And Carlton halfbacks are one of the toughest ones. So Harry Sheasel could struggle there as well. I might go Caldwell playing for Fremantle in the past. Let's actually just double check how he's gone against them and see if he's actually played any sort of on-ball time. I don't want an ad, thank you. See if he's played any on-ball time there against Fremantle, because he could be a way through. If we look at him against Fremantle, he's gone 116 against them in the past. Has he played them elsewhere? Let's just check. I don't think he really has. He played them for 69 when he got 52% CBAs. And then also, if we just check again, I don't think there's any other Fremantle. Is it this one? Yeah, there we go. So yeah, he hasn't really played them much. And averages only 84 against them in limited CBA time. So yeah, wouldn't jump there on that as well. Maybe it is a Brodie Grundy against Port that you want to maybe jump on the captaincy train for that one, but maybe not. It is hard. The captaincies this week are relatively actually hard to pick. Who else has the ruck matchup that we like? Richmond are on. Richmond have, if we just double check again, they've got the Western Bulldogs, so that is a potential Team English big game there. And then, yeah, a lot of the big teams are on the bye this week, which does suck a little bit. But Bailey Smith into potentially... Do I want to risk it with like a Brodie Grundy or something like that? Maybe I do, just for the heck of it. Or something like that. Just for the fun of it. You could also go... Caleb Sarong might cop attention, to be honest with you, from... who are they playing? Essendon. Essendon don't really have a tagger, so you could actually do... I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to go Caleb Sarong into a Bailey Smith, I think, because I think those two just have really decent matchups. It's a wet weather game, it looks like, or a wet condition stylistically for Caleb Sarong, which should help him out actually quite a lot of just getting those in and under, getting those tackles up, which is huge for him, because if we look at when he's playing well, you see 10, 8, 3 and 4 here, but yeah, you can see a lot of his good games are when they're tackle games. And I don't expect a tag as well. So I'm expecting him to go well. And that pretty much is the video there, going through my AFL Fantasy team reveal for round 15. If you guys did enjoy, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload. If you are listening on Spotify, give me a follow and a rating over there. And I will see you guys back here for my Supercoach team reveal later. Bye, guys.